Hey everyone, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I draw a body / an anatomy tutorial. First of all, I start with drawing the face, which helps me to structure out the rest of the body. I start with a plus, which helps me to balance out the facial features when I'm doing a regular drawing, but for this video I'm only focusing on drawing the body. I then add some curves to join the bottom of the plus shape together, which forms the face and chin. Next, I draw the neck and I make mine skinnier than a real life neck, as it's just a part of my style, and obviously you can choose your own length and width for the neck. So off topic, but I am using a script for once, so I think my voiceover sounds more professional, but it does sound drier, which I'm not a huge fan of. So anyways, I draw a line down the middle which helps me to balance out the torso so it doesn't look uneven, and I also add the shoulder line to where I want to, and the shoulder line is basically what determines how small or big the head looks. For example, a small shoulder line will make the head look enormous, and a longer one will make the head look smaller and more proportionate to real life, which is something I should do, but I don't do it. I also add some round balls, which is for the shoulder joints, and if you're doing a more dynamic pose it helps out so much. Also add some balls to the elbows, which helps to mark out the arms. A random tip for drawing elbows correctly is that they line up with the waist, and believe it or not, it does help out with the drawing if you think it looks slightly off. So I am a bit behind, so I'll speed up the voiceover a little bit, but for the torso I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So for the hips you draw a trapezium, which is a shape, and I'll put an example I just made. And then you draw a sort of underwear outline which can help structure the leg. I'm not exactly sure to explain how I draw legs, but I made a diagram which explains it kind of, and feel free to screenshot it for further use if you need help with it. And here is a quick tour of what it looks like. So yeah, now moving on to dynamic poses. So I got inspired by line of action, which is basically a line which helps you to draw dynamic poses and to capture the fluidity of a pose. I am using a reference for the first time in forever, and I'll link it in the description, or you can screenshot it if you want. So whenever I have a reference for drawing a dynamic pose, I always tend to draw out the biggest shapes first, and basically I try and draw what I see. But if you just want to practice drawing a dynamic pose, I recommend you try and use the grid method, and Sazzarts has done an amazing video tutorial on how to do it, and I'll link it in the description to watch it, how to do it basically. So yeah. Another tip for making it look like the picture you're using is to see where everything is. Now this is a super obvious tip, but it actually helped me out so much while I was sketching it. For example, you can't see it right now, but there's a hand on the head, and it basically helps me out to structure where the shoulder and the entire left arm is. And for the legs, I also saw where everything matched up. For example, I saw that the leg was bent in a sort of right angle shape, so that's what I did. And this small tip does help a lot, even though it seems extremely obvious. I also think everyone should have a go at drawing dynamic poses, as it makes the drawing look more interesting and less stiff, and it can really capture the sort of like reality. Like, it just feels real, and you can almost sort of like watch, like you can see the pose happen, if that makes sense. I think that for references it can be hard to find the right ones for your drawing, and I will link some websites for references, and my own Pinterest body reference board which has a lot of references saved for your use. Now moving on to hands. Hands are extremely hard for anyone to draw, and I still have difficulty drawing them, so don't get upset or quit a drawing just because they're not looking right. Also, please do not try and hide them, as you should never run from your responsibilities. I made yet another diagram which shows you how to draw the structure of a basic hand, and again feel free to screenshot it and put it to your own use. So I am kind of repeating myself, but here again, draw a trapezium shape for the base of the hand, and I also draw a square on top of that, which is basically the base for the fingers. I then just add on the thumb randomly and then draw the rest of the wrist and arm, but my diagram does explain it, like basically represent it a lot more better. So here I am drawing a super complicated hand, and as you can tell, I'm out of practice from not using references, but anyway, it was so hard to do, but I visually broke it down into individual shapes, as you can see, and it helps you to understand the basic anatomy of the hand. And I use that tip a lot, as just look at any picture of a hand and on top of it you can just draw out random shapes you see, for example an upside down trapezium or rectangles, if you get what I'm saying. I'm not sure if the music just lagged for anyone. It did really lag for me, but I don't know. So I'm kind of going against what I said about not using already drawn references, but for drawing hands I think that it's personally easier to use an already drawn reference, as you can really understand the basic shapes of the hand, as given a regular hand it can be more of a challenge to manually draw them out. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about how to find good references. So for good references, I recommend you use Line of Action, as there are millions and millions of pictures for animals, humans, insects, anything really, and I use it a lot more nowadays and it's really good. I also use Pinterest and a normal Google search for finding lots of reference images, as they're also really good as well. And I am approaching near the end of the video, so here's the tour of the final page. And thank you so much for watching, and the shout out emoji and shout outs will be at the end, so bye!